Hello, my name is Brian Kearns, and this is the case study on internet use violations, threats over the World Wide Web. The very first thing I need to do is I need to identify the problem and then also analyze it. So what do we know about the case? We know that in this case study that I am a well-respected principal who has 9 years of experience and has been named Principal of the Year. We also know that Ms. Tate is a well-qualified teacher. She has a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, and another year of study. We also know that her classes are very stressful. There's a very high workload, lots of rigor, very demanding expectations, and students aren't comfortable in her class, but they want to get a good grade because of it. We also know that the student Facebook page was created, and that was very demeaning to her class, and it also showed that there were some threats made against her. So what are some things that we need to know about this case now? First off, we need to know if the remarks that were made on the webpage were intended as a threat on Ms. Tate's life. We also need to know if Ms. Tate needs protection while she's at school. We need to know what kind of resources students have as far as things like counselors that they can talk to about the stress that they face in her class, and also the education they've received with regards to proper internet usage and their ethical behavior while online. We all need to know if the students created this page as a joke or if it was very serious. We also need to know why and who sent the email to Ms. Tate. What was their purpose in sending this? Also, we need to know what steps Ms. Tate has taken to manage the stress in her classroom better. So what are the problems that we're facing? The first problem that we're facing is what the intended purpose of the Facebook page was, and how do we educate students better to handle stress in a classroom environment. And another problem that we're facing is what we can do to best help Ms. Tate feel safe while she's at school and to improve her teaching practices so this doesn't happen again in the future. Okay, my proposed plan of action. The first thing I would need to do is make sure I provide safety for Ms. Tate. I would also need to find out which students created the page and which students commented on the page. I also need to know what kind of threats were made and what their intentions were. I need to know appropriate discipline for the students and how we can do to best educate them on their media usage and their ethical behavior online. I also need to know how we can best help Ms. Tate balance rigor and success in her classroom, but also still be fair. Best way to implement these things would be the first thing that I would need to do was to increase some security around Ms. Tate's classroom from the school resource officer, and do this for a couple weeks to ensure that she is feeling safe and make sure students know that we take threats seriously. I would need to obtain as much data as I could from the district technology and make sure we know where this site is coming from. I would need to conduct several personal interviews with students who were part of the Facebook group, but more with those who made comments on the Facebook group. I would need different classroom materials from computer or technology teachers about internet usage and ethics while online so I could help educate students. And also I needed to have a list of different professional development opportunities for Ms. Tate and also let her know that we would need to observe her more often in her classroom to first off ensure that she's safe and then also to help provide her with some opportunities to improve and make sure that doesn't happen again. Okay, so what's the best thing that we can do for students in this case? The first thing we need to let students know is that all threats are very serious, whether they're intentional, whether they're a joke, it doesn't matter. If they make a threat, it's something that we take seriously as an administration. We also need to let students know about how to use internet correctly and what their ethics are online. They need to know how to make correct decisions. We also need to help the teacher and teach her how to provide rigor still, while still maintaining success for each student and being fair for every student. Okay, so some of my thoughts and feelings during the whole process as I read this and thought about ways we could help with this case. First off is on a personal level. My very first year of teaching, I was a paraprofessional, and the student I was working with was a very aggressive student and wrote a letter and made some threats against me. And we knew at the time it wasn't serious, but obviously he was pretty angry, and it got me thinking a little bit more about these kind of things. Another thing was a concern for the teacher and her safety, making sure that she was feeling safe at school, because as an administrator, It's students are important, but so are the teachers. We need to make sure that both students and teachers feel safe. As I was reading on and thinking more about the case study and some of the remarks were made on that Facebook group, it made me think more and more that the remarks were made were more in jest or wishful thinking that Miss Tate would just go to a different school or she chooses a different profession, that her life really wasn't at stake. But I can also see why she could think it was. I was also thinking a lot about the students and what their responsibility is in school, and how to maintain proper discipline and protection for students. Some of the unresolved issues, big thing I was thinking about is, I mentioned the case study that Miss Tate has been observed several times before, and a lot of phone calls were made from parents with complaints about her, and just the administration had given her ways to change, but she hadn't done. And if we gave her professional development, would she actually change, or would she continue doing the same thing that she's been doing? Another thing I was really thinking about is, how do we get students to really think about the consequences before they do anything foolish, like making threats online? Whether they're serious or they're just joking around about it, they need to know what those consequences are, and how do we really get them to think about those before they do it? Also, a big thing I was thinking about was, how would parents react to having their child be under suspicion for something like this? Would they be supportive? Would they be angry? Would they want to be involved in the whole process? I was thinking a lot about that and how those kind of things would be resolved. As far as looking at Standard 5 and how I, as a building leader, would promote success with integrity, fairness, and ethical manner. So the first thing I want to look at is how I would promote the success by acting with integrity for this with the students in this kind of case. First off, students were at the heart of all my thoughts during this case. I was thinking about the teacher, but I was also thinking about the students and how they would feel throughout this whole process. Another way that I would show integrity is looking for answers in data received and collected, instead of listening to just the stories, but also looking at the actual evidence that's right there in front of me. How would I do this while being fair? A big thing is giving the benefit of the doubt while still validating fears and concerns. Obviously, Ms. Tate was upset about this, and she needs to feel validated with her fears. But also, a lot of students do these kind of things in jest. They don't know any better, and they need to be educated about it. So giving them the benefit of the doubt that they just need to be educated. Also, just having the best interest of the students and the teacher in my heart for every single decision that I make creates for a very fair environment, wanting to do what's best for the teacher and what's best for the students. And then finally, how would I promote success of students by acting in an ethical manner? First thing is talking with the students personally, having a personal relationship with them where they can trust me, and knowing that I want to help them and help the teacher at the same time, that I'm not there to chastise them necessarily or belittle them, but letting them know that we do take things seriously in school. Another thing is looking at all sides of the story, by talking to every student who made comments on the Facebook group and who created it, and talking to Miss Tate, and maybe getting some outside viewpoints from other teachers by looking at the website, by looking at that Facebook group to see what their thoughts were. Looking at everything provides a very ethical environment. And also, really big thing is that one of the big desires I had was to educate the students. It wouldn't just be a suspension or anything like that. We'd need to let the students know that what they did was inappropriate, and also educate them as to why it is, and let them know what their other resources are. And finally, also desire to help improve Ms. Tate's practices, because obviously there are some concerns with what's going on in her classroom. It's so stressful that students are feeling like they need to vent online. And so we need to find a way to fix that and help her become a better teacher to avoid these problems in the future. With that, I thank you guys for listening, and thank you.